Welcome to Shas Illuminated. Please enjoy the following shiur.
Tonight's shiur35310siman3342225. We're up to Siv Chof Beis, the second to last line on page 354. The Mechaber says in Siv Chof Beis, Teva sha'achaz baha'ur. You have a box that got caught on fire. Yochal lifros or shel gedi mitzida ha'acher shelo tisari. If you're allowed to spread out a leather of a goat on the other side in order that it should not burn. So part of the box caught fire, and you want to prevent the fire from spreading to the other side, so you're allowed to spread out this gedi skin in order to stop the fire from spreading. You can also make some kind of wall with vessels, with all vessels to stop the fire. Even new pottery vessels that are filled with water, where for sure they're going to break open and the water is going to come out as the fire reaches there, and that will extinguish the fire. Even that is mutter. Degram kibui mutter, causing kibui in that indirect way is permissible. Says Ramah b'mkom seida if it's a case of a loss. The Mishavur writes in Zevkatan and Gimel, or shall gedi lach, we're talking about the skin of a gedi that's moist, and that would put out the fire, or at least prevent it from spreading. V'ayin b'simin shin chesiv chav hey le'inyan muktzah, that a moist leather of a gedi would be muktzah, ach lefia mavur le'elbes of beis, but based on what we learned earlier in the beginning of the siman of beis, v'deya rishon, in the first opinion, that tiltu muktzah mutter b'mkom seida, that you are allowed to move muktzah in a case of a loss, asi shapir b'pshitus, then it can be understood very simply that you're allowed to move this muktzah, this gedi skin, in order to prevent further loss from the fire. If you look at the Bir Halacha over here, on page Kufay and Ches, the next page, Shevada Yisbaku, we said you can even put vessels of pottery filled with water as a wall, that when the fire reaches there, they'll break open and it'll put out the fire. She'ein lohem koach lakabel ha'or mipnei shechadoshim heim. They'll for sure break open because they can't handle the fire because they're brand new. Umasha v'gemara da'afilu im mechavin lazeh. Masha v'gemara, even if this is your kavana, skip the brackets, gam kein shari, it's still permissible. Kevan dehu eino ela grama, all you're doing is a grama. V'chein muchach sham gam bedaf kuf chaf amud beis the mapik de grama shari. They learn out that grama is permissible from the pasuk that says lo sasa bo malacha, that on Shabbos you can't do malacha, and they darshan asiyahu da aser grama shari. Doing malacha is aser, but causing malacha is mutter. V'dumya da asiya sharinam begrama, and similar to doing it, which is aser, we allow you the grama, which means even if you have kavana, the same way asiya is aser when you have kavana, so too grama is mutter when you have kavana. We'll look at note number 64, which is the last note on the page over here. He says, Ulaniach sakios nylon, o kli plastic malay mayim samach la'esh kadeshi isbaka mechom ha'esh. If instead of pottery vessels, you want to put nylon bags or plastic vessels filled with water close to the fire so they should break open by the heat of the fire, the Or L'Tzion writes that that's aser. Kevan sheplastic v'nylon heim chomrim dleikim. Since they are flammable materials, nechshav kegorem havara, it's considered as if you actually caused the havara. Umalacha zu tzrich lagufa. Now we consider malacha shetzrich lagufa. Sheyitzarachu sheyimsu kelim elu. You need these kelim to melt away v'yetzu amayim in order for the water to come out. V'lohuter laniach b'samach la'esh ela kegon klei cheres o zechuches. You're only allowed to put next to the fire pottery vessels or glass vessels, she'ein bazel a gram kibui b'lvad, that's only considered a gram kibui alone. V'grama b'derabbanan mutter, and a grama is permissible. We'll just see one more bir halacha over here, the gram kibui mutter. The Mechaber told us you could put the pottery vessels there filled with water that they'll break open by the fire, because it's only an indirect cause of the extinguishing of the fire. Lav dafke kibui dehu malacha she'ein tzrucha lagufa. Now, kibui in a certain way is more lenient than other malachos, because when you're putting out a fire and you don't want the coals, it's a malacha she'ein tzrucha lagufa. So the Bir Halacha is just telling us that even though we're saying gram kibui is mutter, it's lav dafke kibui, which is more lenient because it's a malacha she'ein tzrucha lagufa, da'afilu b'kol malachos hadin kein v'kanal. But really, by any malacha, a gram of any malacha is mutter, not only a gram of kibui. Now we go weiter in the Mechaber. We're in Siv Chof Gimel, the second line on page Kuf Ayin Ches. The Mechaber says, Talis sha'achaz baha'ur. You have a talis that got caught on fire. Poshta umiskaseba. It was a folded talis, and you're afraid the whole thing's going to get burnt up. So you could spread it out and cover yourself with it. Ve'eno choshesh im tichbe. You don't have to be worried if the fire goes out. V'yesh mi she'omer she'tzarel shelo yiskavin l'kach. There are those who say that you have to have, that your kavanah can't be for the fire to go out, and we'll see more about that soon. And the Ramah then writes, Mutir lichbos ka'ora al haner shelo techos bakora. You're allowed to cover a candle with a plate in order that it shouldn't catch on to the beam of the house. So if you look in the Mishabura now, Sefkata Nun Dalid, we said if the talis got caught on fire, poshta, you can spread it out. Shelo tieh mekupelas. You don't want it to be folded. Shelo yechos al yedei zeh ha'or bakula. So to quickly burn up the whole thing. If it's folded, so you want to spread it out so the fire will slow down and hopefully be put out. So he said you're allowed to spread it out. You're even allowed to put it on, which involves moving it more, and you're hopeful that it will go out. But the Mechaber said that there's a yesh mishomish etzara shelo yiskavin lakach. You have to. There are those who say that you have to not have kavanah for the fire to go out. So let's see the Mishabura, very important Mishabura, Sefkata Nun Hey. Hu midivri atur. This is from the words of the Tur. V'ayim betaz sheber derotzalomar. The Taz explains that what the Tur means is shelo yiskavin bepulaso lechabos ma shehudlo kfar. It can't be that your kavanah is to extinguish that which is already on fire. Ela shelo tidlak yoser. But your kavanah could be that the fire shouldn't spread to the other part of the talis. And if through doing this, spreading out the talis, putting it on, is going to cause the fire to go out, so you don't have to worry about it. That was not your intention. Your intention was to prevent it from spreading. It happens to go out, so it's a side benefit that you get. Uladina mashma medivi achronim. V'halacha l'maisa is mashma from the words of the achronim. The tafsinan degam ben eskavin lazemuter. Your kavanah could even be to put out the fire. You're unfolding the talis, you're throwing it behind you to put it on so that the fire should go out. Ela sheizor shelo yorutz. You have to just make sure you don't run the yikbots and jump v'naneya atzmo and shake yourself all around. Ana v'ana kedei sheyichbe. You can't do things that make it clear that you're putting out the fire. You can't be waving the talis all around to put out the fire. That's usher. The kolza lo osa ma'isa kibui mamish. That's doing extinguishing of a fire mamish. V'lav gram kibuihu. V'lo ye'osa came be Yisrael. So you can't do that. But you can put the talis on and put it around you in a normal way that the fire will go out. Derech putting on, that would be allowed because that's considered a grumma. But once you start shaking it around like crazy or jumping up and down, doing jumping jacks in order to get the fire out, that's already going to be considered regular kibbutz, which is usher. Ela miskasa be'atalas kedarka. You put on the talis the regular way, and you can hope to Hashem that way the fire will go out. I guess if it's on you, it doesn't go out, then it's really bad news. V'chein sefer Torah she'achaz b'ha'ur. Same thing if a sefer Torah caught fire. Poshta v'koreba. You could open it up, hoping the fire is going to go out, and read from the Torah. V'im kavsa kavsa. If it goes out, it goes out. You didn't do anything to put out the fire. You just opened it to read it. Umuter likro le'enu Yehudi v'yechabe osa. You can also call a guy to put out the fire. Kidl'el b'sif yud ches u'lekamon b'sif chavav, like we saw earlier, and we will see again shortly. Says the Mishabura Vayter Sifkatan Kuf Sifkatan Nun Vav Ka'ara al Haner. We said you can put a plate over a candle to prevent the candle from burning down your house. B'simin Reish Ayin Zayin Be'arnu Din Zeheta B'Mishabura Ayin Shom. We explained this well over there. We'll look at note 53 for a short synopsis. Shom Kosav Shedavka Ka'ara Shalcheres Mutter Lifos al Haner. It's Davka a plate that's made out of pottery that you can flip over and put it on the candle. Aval shel matechas aser, but to put a metal kli over the candle is forbidden. Ki hamechamim osa chai misham mavir, because burning up metal and making metal very hot, that's an isra of mavir. Elim ken yeshash al yidei hadleika yavo lidei sakanas lefoshos, unless of course it's a life-threatening situation. Your mamish, the house is going to burn down. It's sakana. Then you can use whatever you have. Sha'oz mutter b'chalof, and then anything goes. The Kasav Ocham, the Mishabura writes further over there, Shaba'ofen she'ein chshash sakana. In the case where there is no concern of sakana, yesh laniach ma'at avir bein hakli lahanir. You should really, ideally, leave a space between the fire and the kli that you're placing on top of it. She'im lo kein yich b'hanor. Otherwise, you're valet putting out the candle. You're just trying to prevent it from catching onto the wall or the beam. So you should cover it. You're allowed to cover it with this kli cheres, but you don't want to cover it too tight. You want to leave some air, so the fire won't necessarily be caused to go out by your actions. Says the Mechaber Vayter Sif Chav Daled. Yesh omrim she'ein yochol litein olav mashkin kedei sheyichbe k'she'yagir lahem. So we just discussed 2 sifim ago, you could put vessels of pottery filled with water. When the fire reaches there, it will break open the pottery, the water will come out, it will put out the fire. But what about you have a large talus, and one part of the talus became inflamed, and you want to pour water on the other half of the talus, so when the fire reaches there, it will go out by the water. So yesh omrim she'ein yachol litain olav mashkin k'dei sheyichba k'sheyagir lehem. There are those who say that you cannot place any liquid on the other half of the talus in order to extinguish the fire when the fire reaches there. That's opinion number one. V'yesh omrim she'muter lasos kein b'shar mashkim chutz min hamayim. Others say you can put other liquids on the talus, so the fire will go out when it reaches there, as long as the liquid you put on is not water. Mishum kibus, because we know putting water on a garment is already shriyaso zel kibus, so you got a problem of laundering. But mitzad putting out the fire, he has no problem with that. Shita number 3 says v'yesh matir nafilu b'mayim. Some say not only is it not a problem of kibui, it's also not a problem of kibus, and you could even put water on the other half of the talus. V'divrei svara shenis nirin. And the second opinion seems to be the best one according to the Mechaber. Says the Mishaburas, if katan and zayin she'ein yachol. Opinion number 1 says you can't place water on the other half of the talus, so put out the fire when it reaches there. The dafka lahafsik b'kelim mileim mayim shari b'sifcha beis. We only matir putting vessels that are filled with water. That you're allowed to do. She'ein hamayim ba'ayin. You can't see the water. The water is hidden away inside the kelim. Aval hacha shamayim ba'ayin. But here where the water is seen, hu mekarev la kibui. That's closer to doing a regular kibui. In other words, it's more distance from yourself. When the water is inside a vessel, the vessel will break, the water will come out. But according to the first shita, putting the water directly on the talus, that's already closer to your ma'isa kibui, and therefore he says it's not allowed. Opinion number 2 said that is allowed, as long as it's not water, because then you have a separate problem of kibus, of laundering the garment. Says the Mishavur and the Nechas Shemuter, Svirulahu dezelo chamer megram kibui ba'am v'teshari. It's no different than putting the vessels there, putting the water on, putting the liquid on the talus. The same thing. It's only indirect cause of the kibui, and therefore he says it's mutter as long as it is not water, because then you have problems of kibus. If katan and tes mishum kibus, the kaim alon shrias habeged zeo kibusa. We hold soaking a garment, that is the laundering. V'hayesh matirin. I have a third opinion that says that you could even put water there. Svirulu, he holds the lo shayach ze ela b'makom sheyesh tinof odam. It's only a problem of laundering if you put water on a garment when the garment is dirty. There's dirt there or there's blood there, so there's something to launder. Avalo betalis naki. Not when you're putting water on a clean garment. So this opinion holds that's not called shrioz el kibus, so there's nothing to be machabes, and therefore there's no isra kibus. That is a big machlokas, and that is the machlokas here between shitas number 2 and number 3. They hold mitzad kibui, mitzad extinguishing, there's no problem. But mitzad putting water on, that's a machlokas. Do you say shrioz el kibusa when the garment is clean or not? The Mechaber ended off and said, "V'divrei svara shenis nirim." Says the Mishaburas Akot and Samech. Ayin la'el b'simin shin beis if tes b'bir halacha divrei maskil she'eshel av lichloch mashek asavnu bazel. Look what we said earlier in the bir halacha. No 57 gives us a little summary which we will read right now. Sham Kasav, the bir halacha says over there, Sha'af shemi divrei hashulchan aruch la'el. Even though from the Mechaber and shin beis it's mashma kedas asovim shebebeged she'enu muluchloch ein omrim shriyaso zeo kibuso. Even though earlier the Mechaber is mashma, like opinion number 3, that if the garment is not dirty, it's clean, we don't say that putting water on it is like laundering it. Mikomakom kama achronim hochichu medivrei hashulchan aruch kan. But many achronim prove from the Shulchan Aruch right here that we just read, shedaito kedas haosrim shrias beged afilu im eino muluchloch. Because the Mechaber comes out and sounds like opinion number 2. So here clearly the Mechaber is saying that shriyaso zel kibusa would apply even if the garment is clean. What's the bottom line? There seems to be a steer in the Mechaber. Ula halacha kasav shom. The bir halacha writes la halacha shedas hagrav hal yirabu shemuter lishros beged she'eno muluchluch. You can wet a garment that is clean in eno miskavin lekibus. If your intention is not to launder, you may do it. Mikomakom kevan sheyesh kama rishonim shemachmirim b'zeh. Since there are those rishonim who are machmir, bevada yesh lahachmir be'isa Torah. You should be machmir by isa Torah. So it seems to come out over there, but that's a mitzmutter, but better to be machmir because there are those that hold it's an issa d'oraisa.
Yeah, but you're doing it to put out a fire then, if it's not for kibbutz.
No, in other words, in our stuff over here, the bir halacha is not talking about fire. We're talking about over here, mitzad fire, that was the first shita that was machmir. The second 2 shitas...
It's kibbutz, you're saying it's
yeah.
not put for kibbutz.
Right, that was the machlokas.
What about using dirty water?
We'll get that in a second. Continues note 57. V'nesinas mayim al begen noki b'derech lichluch. Exactly what Alex just asked. Putting water on a garment derech lichluch in a way that you're dirtying the garment, like putting dirty water over there. Kigon lenage boas yadayim. For example, drying your hands. You wash dirty hands, so the dirt's still on your hands. You're going to dry your hands on this garment. So we learned earlier. Shemuteres, that's permissible. Vein omen brofen zeshri asozel kibuso. We don't say when you're putting dirty water on that soaking of it is called laundering. V'lochein das agona shlomo zalman orbach. Therefore, Shlomo Zalman's eitzah is shem habeged naki. If the beged is clean, so yesh lahakil l'tzarach hatzalo. You can be lenient for purposes of saving this talus. Law says olav mayim derech lichluch. That you can place water on the other half of the talus. Derech lichluch yigon shenoto yodav ala beged. Wash your hands over the garment, so the dirt on your hands goes onto the garment. He says that would be an eitzah, that even according to the one who says that you say shiur kibusa by a clean garment, but if it's a dirty water, it wouldn't be a problem, so make the water dirty by washing your hands, it'll be okay. One more point in this note that's important to mention: when the sinas mayim merubim ala beged, even if you're going to dry your hands over there, but if you're going to put an abundance of water, the Shulchan Aruch told us already earlier, she'asura b'cholof, and then anyway it's always going to be aser. Gzeira shema yischol. Now you get into other problems that you might come to squeeze out and wring out the garment, so you have a shema yischol problem. However, if it's a type of garment that you're not makbid to leave it soaked for a while, so the Mishabur writes over there, she'ein goes rimbo shema yischot, so you would not have a problem over there of shema yischot. That's the concludes the discussion over here in Siv Chav Daled. Let's go weiter now in the Mechaber Siv Chav Hey. Eino Yehudi shebol lechabos ein tzarich limchos biyodo. If a guy comes to extinguish the fire, you do not have to protest against him. Let him put it out. Aval katan shebol lechabos tzarich limchos biyodo. However, if a katan, a child, comes to extinguish the fire, then you have to protest against him. Says the Mishaburas, if katan samach aleph eino Yehudi, why can you let the guy do it? The guy, you can't benefit from malacha that a guy does to you on Shabbos. The eino Yehudi adaiti the nafshei ka'avid. The guy is putting out your fire, he's doing it for himself. Va'afilu yodea shenoach lo Yisrael, even if he knows the Jews will be very happy about it. Hu lahanos atzmo miskaven, he's doing it for his own benefit. Sheyodea shelo yafsid, he knows the Jew's going to pay him afterwards. He's doing it to make a buck. He's not doing it to help you. It's not considered malacha for you. Aval b'simin reish ayin vav bahadlokas ner. But when it comes to lighting a candle, k'shehidlik b'shil Yisrael, when a guy lights a candle for Yisrael, there we talk and say it's a problem. Sheguf ha-Yisrael nena mimenu. In that case, the guf of the Yisrael is actually getting hana from the candle. Now he's able to see. So then, lo amrina adaiti the nafshei ka'avid. Then we don't just say the guy is doing it for his own benefit. V'asur l'shtamish la'ora. Over here, he's just preventing damage. It's not considered hanas haguf. But lighting a candle is hanas haguf. So if a guy's going to light a candle for you when it's pitch black, that you got to tell him not to do it. You can't benefit from that candle. But a guy's going to put out your fire. He's doing it for himself. He's not doing it for you. Even though he knows it will benefit you, he's doing it to make some money. And you don't have to stop him. Sivkaton samich beis. The guy is coming lechabos. Afiluhu avdo hamuskar lo lazman. Even if your servant and he's hired out to you for a certain amount of time. Gam kein amrinin adayt nashek avid. We still say he's doing it. He wants to get a bonus. He's still doing it for his own benefit. He's not doing it for you. So therefore, the halacha is ein tzarich limchos. You don't have to protest. Says the Mishabura samich gimel. Aval aser lezarzo, but you can't encourage him. Sheyechabe after ba mitchila me'atzma lazeh. He came to do it himself. You can't cheer him on and try to mechazik him and give him drinks so he's not hot, and you can't help him out. Let him do it on his own. That's okay. But then we said a katan that comes to put out a fire, you must protest against him. Says the Mishabura in Samech Dalid. Even if it's a very small child that did not yet reach the age of chinuch, you must stop him from putting out the fire. Tzarech limchos, if katan samachay, the katan ein lo shikul hadas, lasos adaite denafshe. A katan is small, he's not as, he doesn't have as much das as this guy who is doing it for his own mindset. The kid's not able to even make the cheshbon that he's doing it for himself. He's assuming it's the child of this household, so you have to assume he's doing it for his father. If he understands that his father wants his fire out, so he's doing it to help out his father. And he's doing it for his father, and that's forbidden. Why? A father is commanded to make sure that his kids don't do malach on Shabbos, so you must stop your child. Even the one that says malacha shein etzricha lagufa is the rabbanon, and that's what we discussed. Kibui is if you don't want the coals, you just want to get the fire out. That's malacha shein etzricha lagufa, which is downgraded to the rabbanon. Gam kein tzarich limchos biyado. You still have to protest against the child doing an issa the rabbanon. Sif Katan Samich Vav, you have to protest Biyodo, you have to protest against him. I am a Beis Yosef. Ta'afilu im bal lechabos dleika shebebeis acherim. Even if this Katan comes to extinguish a fire in someone else's house, it's not his house. Gam kein sarach limchos biyodo, you also have to protest against him. Kevan she'ose b'shvil gadol, since he's doing malacha for a gadol. If you look in the shiur35310siman3342225 in Os Nun Dalet, he writes, Ulanios daiti de bidleikas oviv muchuyav oviv minatora limchos biyodo. If he's trying to put out the fire of his father, the father is chayav midaraisa to protest against the son that he shouldn't do this malacha. Kevan shu osel daito, the child is doing it for his father, you must stop him kidei shelo yavur amadik sif, so the father shouldn't be over the pasuk of lo sasa datatat binchu bitecha, that you're required to make sure your son's not doing malacha, and therefore if it's your son doing the malacha for your stuff, you absolutely must stop him. D'oraisa, says a shiur35310siman3342225. Ubedleikas acherim mechuyav ha'acher al kol panim midirabanan limchos biyado. If he's putting out someone else's fire, that other guy has a chiyuv d'rabanan to stop him, not d'oraisa. D'ha Gemara shokil v'tari amai hitiru be'eno Yehudi. Because the Gemara has a whole discussion back and forth why it's mutter to let the guy do it. Umeshani eino Yehudi adayt nafshei of it. The Gemara comes out with maskana because the guy is doing it for himself. Masha'en came b'katan zeh, which is not the case with this katan. Kamosha katan beisil, like the Beis Yosef explains. And therefore, if it's your child, you have to stop him d'oraisa. If it's not your child, you have to stop him d'rabanan. But there's one note over here that we'll see, note number 60. The shiur35310siman3342225 says over here that if your child is trying to put out your fire, that you have a chiyuv d'oraisa to stop him. Omnam abir alocha la'el tzided shema katan ha'usal das aviv eino aser ela midivei sofen. The bir alocha has a tzad to say that maybe when the katan is doing the malacha for his father, it's only aser midirabanan kevan she'ein ha'av mitzaveu akach beferish. Since you didn't tell him to do it straight up, he's just doing it, he knows you'll benefit from it, he didn't tell you straight up, and therefore, the Bir Halacha, the same Chavetz Chaim, has a tzad over there to say that it is only the Rabbanan. V're'ei b'shal shuvas chsam sofer shekosav sh'ashim d'araisa. The chsam sofer says it's d'araisa. V'chein hu b'shal shuvas achiezer. Omnam b'shal shuvas beis Ephraim kosav she'enu asa elam d'Rabbanan. The beis Ephraim says it's only asa d'Rabbanan. And the Shevet HaLevi is likei deos ha-poskim lazeh. He has gathered all different opinions in the poskim, but clearly it's a big discussion whether this is d'araisa or d'Rabbanan to stop your kid from doing malacha for you, which you did not ask him to do. Ulagabe sha'ar isurim d'Rabbanan. When it comes to other isurei d'Rabbanan, kosav mishabur lakamana mishabur writes later, shechayev ha'av lahafresh as akata me'asiyasam. The father absolutely has to stop the child from doing isur d'Rabbanan. Keshem shechayev lachancho b'chol mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. The same way you have a chiyuv of chinuch to train your kid to do mitzvahs d'Rabbanan, you also have a chiyuv to stop him from doing isurim d'Rabbanan. Umikol makom yesh chiluk ben isur d'araisa l'isur d'Rabbanan, but there is still a chiluk between the stopping of the katan doing a d'araisa or doing a d'Rabbanan. Shebe'isad d'Rabbanan in lo hifresh sha'aves haben ein bezdin mochem biyado. When it comes to Isad d'Rabbanan, if the father didn't do the right thing, he didn't stop the child, bezdin does not have to get involved, they don't have to make a protest. Aval be'isad d'araisa bezdin mochem biyado lahafresh es beno. But if a father is not going to stop his son from doing something that's d'oraisa, then Bezdin will get involved and they'll make a protest against the father that he should get his son to stop doing this issur d'oraisa. We'll stop here and continue tomorrow, Mirz Hashem, with Siv Chav Vav.
You have been listening to a shiur from shasilluminated.org. For other shiurim on many topics, or to hear an Iyun shiur on any daf in Shas, including Mara Mekaymas on each shiur, please visit www.shasilluminated.org. To order CDs or for more information, please call 203-312-SHAS. That's 203-312-7427, or email info@shasilluminated.org.